Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. The other night in a live chat, and we do live chats every night at 6 p.m., except for Monday and Wednesday when they're at 5 p.m. If you want to join us, come on along. There's a link at the end of this video to today's live chat. But in that live chat, someone asked me, what would be my top 10 nominations to the Handgun Hall of Fame? If I was going to create a Handgun Hall of Fame, what would be the first 10 guns I would nominate to be inducted into that Hall of Fame? Well, I thought that was a very interesting question. It wasn't something I could answer right there on the spot because I'd have to think about it. Because to be in the Hall of Fame, I kind of think of it like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's not whoever's popular now or whoever has the most number one hits, or what's my favorite band. That has nothing to do with who should be in the Hall of Fame. Same thing with guns. It should be the model of gun that had the most effect on handguns as a thing, as a part of our culture, as a tool, etc. What guns were actually the most important guns ever made, handguns ever made. So that's how I'm judging this. That's how I'm choosing my nominations here, by which ones I think are the most important. Now, I will put forward a little criteria here. I'm not considering things that go back as far as like the Chinese hand cannons that were basically just a pipe with a fuse. It actually has to kind of look like a gun, like what we think of as a gun. So keep that in mind while I'm doing my nominations here. And I'm going to do it a little different today. Instead of starting at 10 and counting down to 1, I'm just going to start at 1 and go to 10. Because to be honest, any one of these could be in any position on the list. It's going to be a group of nominations. So what number they come in at doesn't really matter. So let's get started with number 1. All right, at number 1, we have kind of a category of guns, because I'm not really going to narrow it down to one manufacturer or one model because it'd be very hard. What I'm saying, the number 1 gun I think should be nominated for the Handgun Hall of Fame is a muzzleloader, a flintlock. Guns you think of when you think of like old Revolutionary War soldiers, British soldiers in old movies, the Three Musketeers, or better yet, pirates, little jamming that ball and powder down in there kind of a thing. And I probably shouldn't do that on camera, but you know what I'm talking about. I think these guns are super important because they kind of revolutionized self-protection. Everybody could carry a discreet firearm with them that you could easily load, not like easily by today's standards, but it was something that was just very revolutionary. So I think, the old flintlocks, the old muzzleloaders, whether you're looking at them in the hands of pirates or the Three Musketeers or British soldiers or Revolutionary soldiers or whatever, I think they had a huge effect on the proliferation of handguns as a thing in society. So that right there is my number 1 nomination. All right, now number 2 on my list, my number 2 nomination is the Colt Patterson. If you're not familiar with the Colt Patterson, it was designed back in, I believe, 1836, but it didn't really get to be where I really like it till 1839, where they added a loading arm and a cap window, stuff like that, made it a lot easier to load. Originally, with the first ones, you had to kind of partially disassemble them, like you did some old single-action revolvers, before you could load them, and then you had to put them back together. But after 1839, you could load them without taking them apart. You had the little, the little lever a lot of people see on the front of these types of guns. It was what people call a cap and ball gun. It was a percussion gun, but it was still a very cool gun, and it was probably, at the time, the first really successful mass-produced revolver that used a revolving cylinder. So it was very influential on the gun market. It originally came in a 28, I do believe, and then it was later offered in a 32. So these were very popular. Like I said, one of the first actually successful production revolvers. So that definitely holds a place in history. So my number 2 nomination is that right there, the Colt Patterson. All right, at number 3 is probably one of my favorite guns of all time. It's definitely an influential gun and a very successful gun, and it's still relevant today. It is the Colt Single Action Army, or, the Peacemaker, some people may call it. This gun is very revolutionary. It's one of the most successful single action revolvers that actually take a cartridge to ever be made. It was originally chambered in like 38 Colt and 45 Colt, and dozens of other calibers eventually came along. It was designed in 1872. And one of the reasons this gun is so influential, not just because it was one of the first, cartridge revolvers that was super successful, this is the gun that won the West. If you watched cowboy shows as a kid, like most people my age did, this was the gun you wanted. You lusted after these. Your cap guns looked like these. These were very influential on pretty much everybody in the guns community. Everyone who was a kid like me that liked guns wanted one of these. We grew up thinking about someday I'll have real ones. And now I do have real ones. I have them today. You can still buy them today. They are awesome. And there's lots of clones now. A lot of affordable makers make these things in lots of different styles and designs. Still pretty true to the old designs though, and there's modern variations on it like the Vaqueros and stuff. But one of the most influential guns of all times, one of my favorite guns, and it definitely deserves to be on this list. And right now, it's at number 3 on my list. All right, everybody, now we're to number 4. And at number 4, there's going to be no surprises because I think this is a gun everybody's been waiting to hear on the list. It is the Colt 1911. And I prefer the Colt, but there's Remington, there's other makers also when they first started coming around. These were designed in, of course, 1911 and adopted for military service. These are a short recoil, semi-automatic pistol. Hammer fired, with a safety, grip safety, everything, even though those weren't parts of the original design. They actually became part of the design once it was completed and took into service. So this gun, like I said, this is the GI gun. I was talking about cowboy movies before. If you watched war movies, the other John Wayne movies, you saw 1911s all over the place. And of course, everybody loved them. They are Americana. They're probably one of the most American guns around. That's what people think of when they think of a GI or American soldiers or America in general is the 1911. Now, I think it's more the Single Action Army myself. But the 1911, I think, holds that place in history. And it is one of the most successful, auto-loading, semi-automatic caliber, short recoil system firearms ever made. Still being made today in hundreds of different variations. So I don't know how you could make this list and it not be on it. There's no way it couldn't be in the Handgun Hall of Fame. So the Colt 1911 is definitely on my list here at number 4. All right, now number 5, the last gun on today's list. Now this one might be a little bit of a surprise to some people and they might kind of get mad at me for choosing this one. But if you listen to why it's on the list, I think you'll probably agree with me. Whether you like the gun or not, you'll agree it should be on the list. And the gun I'm talking about started off its life back in like 1980 to 1982 as the P80. And we came to know it here in this country as the Glock 17. This is just the first original old school Glock. It was a polymer gun, double stack, striker fired. This gun is on my list because it started a trend. It had a major effect on the gun community and the firearms industry. It created a shift towards polymer guns. It wasn't the first polymer gun. Wasn't the first striker fire gun, but it was the first gun that put everything together in a package that was simple, reliable, easy to use, and very desirable apparently because it did very well. Now there's a lot of myths around the gun about how it outperformed every other gun by leaps and bounds. No, it was just good, it was reliable, and if you've paid attention to Glock's history and read up on their history, he basically offered it to them for pennies. So how could you not take a good gun that cost next to nothing? A great gun even that cost next to nothing. So it really did revolutionize the handgun industry. Like I said, there were other polymer guns, the HK, etc. There were other striker fired guns. But this one, like I said, probably the most influential to ever hit the market and probably caused the biggest shift in the handgun industry of any other gun since the revolver and since the first semi-automatics. So it's very important. it has made, like I said, in our lifetime, or at least my lifetime, maybe not yours, the biggest shift in the handgun industry. And also, he's the first one that introduced nitride coatings for slides, even though it's kind of out of favor now. That was a big thing back in the day. So the Glock 17 definitely is a historic handgun. If just for the influence it had on all the handguns that came after that now do what it did, some even better in some people's opinions. So on my list here, the Glock 17 definitely should be on the list, and on my list, it's at number 5. All right, everybody, there's my list for today. Stay tuned for part 2 on Monday. Until then, I want to remind everyone, if you want to get some official TYM merchandise, the Yankee Marshall Posse merchandise, if you want some, go on over to tympistolproject.com and purchase yourself a shirt, a mug, whatever. Even join the Save the 40s campaign. There's more information on that at the very end of this video, so stay tuned for that. But buy yourself something over there. It supports TYM Triple P, which is a program that I run, helping people who can't afford to get handguns actually attain the tools to defend themselves and their families. That's what this supports, so go on over and buy generously, I guess I should say. You also will get 2 entries into the friend drawing that we hold every month for every t-shirt you buy, and 1 entry for every mug. So go on over, purchase yourself some merch, wear yourself a snazzy little t-shirt, and help out a very good cause. And with that being said, I will see you all later. Remember, always carry and stay safe until I do see you again.